There's a man, his name was Charles Blondin, and Blondin was a famous tightrope walker and an acrobat, and he was world famous for tightrope walking, particularly crossing many, many, many times Niagara Falls. So he crossed Niagara Falls, the strong rushing waters of Niagara Falls. If he fell into it, he would of course die. It was 1,100 feet long, the rope that he would walk across, and it was 160 feet above, suspended above Niagara Falls. And people would come all over the world to watch a Blondin perform. And one day he was walking with his balancing stick across, and then he threw it away and just walked without it. Another time he crossed the tightrope on stilts. Another time he crossed the tightrope, and in the middle he stopped, he sat down, he cooked and ate an omelet, then got up and kept walking. Another time he crossed blindfolded. It was astonishing. And people would cheer, they would clap, they would go crazy. They couldn't believe how good Blondin was at tightrope walking. And one day, the royal family from England came out in 1860 to watch Blondin perform. This particular day, he began to do all of his normal tricks, and people were cheering and clapping, euphoric. They couldn't believe how good he was. And then one day, he got a wheelbarrow out, and he crossed with a wheelbarrow all 1,100 feet, 160 feet, suspended above Niagara Falls. And then when he got to the end, he turned around, he put 2 sacks of potatoes in, and he walked across the tightrope the other way. And at this point, people are just marveling. They cannot believe how good he is. And the Duke of Newcastle, he comes to him, Blondin says, and he says, "Duke, do you think that I could cross this rope with a person in the wheelbarrow?" And he says, "Yes, Blondin, you're the greatest tightrope walker in the world." He says, "Do you have any doubt?" He says, "I have no doubt at all." He says, "Great, well then get in." And then the Duke of Newcastle stopped making eye contact, got very uncomfortable. And then finally, Blondin turns to the whole crowd, and he says, "Will anyone get in the wheelbarrow? Will anyone get in the wheelbarrow and trust that I can carry a person across this rope?" Silence. Then finally, an older woman came out, and she said, "I'll get in the wheelbarrow." And she was Blondin's mother. And she got in the wheelbarrow, and he safely took her across all 1,100 feet. She was the only one willing to entrust her life to Blondin and get in the wheelbarrow. In Greek, the same word for faith is the same word for trust. So when we say, "I have faith in Jesus," what we're saying is, I trust Jesus, that I entrust my life to him. And our motto this year is, "Jesus, I trust in you." And I was reminded of that today when we looked at our responsorial psalm about Jesus as the Good Shepherd. And it says this: "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. In verdant pastures he gives me repose. Beside restful waters he leads me. He refreshes my soul." And then he says this: "He guides me in right paths for his name's sake. Even though I walk in the dark valley, I fear no evil, for you are at my side. With your rod and your staff, you give me courage." And what the psalmist is saying is, he's saying, "God, I place my trust in you. I'm declaring faith over fear in my life." And when we say that we declare faith over fear, and we say that we place our trust in Jesus, what we're not saying is that we know what the future holds, that we know what this school year is going to be like. Nobody knows what it's going to be like. Administration, teachers, parents, students. This is going to be a very unusual year. These things, international pandemics, occur about once every 100 years. So it's pretty unusual. And so none of us knows what the future holds. But to say that I have faith is not saying that I know what the future holds. What is faith says, I know the one who holds the future. And he's good. And he loves me. And he's with me. So I can declare faith over fear. Jesus, I can place my trust in you. And I think particularly in this year, the Lord is inviting us to trust him in a unique way. And the question is, will we do it? Will we get in the wheelbarrow? Will we entrust our whole lives to Jesus, that he can do for us what we can't do for ourselves? And especially to trust him when we feel least in control. Especially in those moments like, Lord, this isn't what I planned for. This is what I didn't think this would happen. This is not going well. It's particularly in those moments, will we place our trust in Jesus? How will we know that we're placing our trust in him? It's very simple. We'll have peace at the depth of our hearts. Even when things aren't going the way that we imagine them or plan them, there'll still be peace in our hearts. How will we know that we're not trusting Jesus? It's very simple. There'll be fear, a pervasive fear in my life. And that fear, if we experience that in our hearts today, this week, sometime this year. It's precisely in that moment when I realize, gosh, there's a lot of fear in my life. I'm so concerned. There's so many things out of my control. I don't know what to do. It's precisely in that moment, interiorly, we want to turn towards Jesus and just say, Jesus, I trust in you. Jesus, I trust in you. Jesus, I trust. Jesus, I place my trust in you. You're good. You're with me. I allow you to do for me what I can't do for myself. To have faith doesn't mean that we know what the future holds. It means that we know the one that holds the future, and he's good, which is why we can trust him.